Can we start?
Yes, we can start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're here to talk about something that is no longer on the horizon but already in the room with us: the evolving role of organizational behavior in the age of AI. For decades, organizational behavior has helped us answer a deceptively simple question: Why do people, what do people do at work and what they do? Motivation, leadership, culture, teamwork, decision making. These have always been the human variables that determine whether an organization merely functions or truly thrives. Today, the question has a new co author: artificial intelligence. AI is no longer a back office quietly crunching numbers. It is sitting inside hiring decisions, performance reviews, team workflows, and even the advice leaders receive before they make a call. And that raises a set of questions OB was built to answer, but never had to answer quite like this. How do we keep decisions fair when an algorithm is in the room? How do we design meaningful work when AI takes over the routine parts of the job? How do leaders build trust in the systems they don't fully understand? And how do employees build trust in leaders who rely on those systems? So, today's discussion isn't whether AI belongs to the workplace. That ship has already sailed. It's about who we become an organization while it is here, whether we use it to make work more human or less. So, whether it is deployed with transparency and care or simply because it is available. So, for today, we have three panelists for our discussions. I'll introduce them to you today. The first one is Dr. Sai Krishna Mohan. He's an enterprise data analytics and AI leader with over 22 years of experience driving digital transformation across global organizations. His work spans enterprise AI strategy, applied research, AI governance, and commercialization, with multiple journal publications and a focus on translating AI innovation into measurable business value. The next panelist is Ms. Gunjan Agarwal. She currently works at a leading multinational corporations, and alongside that, she also serves as an AI consultant and GTM strategist at NodeOps. NodeOps is a technology startup that enables organizations to go from idea to a live AI product in minutes with full infrastructure ownership and no vendor dependency. NodeOps was recently selected among just 20 companies out of 2,500 applicants for the Google for the Startup Accelerator India 2026, a program where Google rejected 99% of the applicants. With over 5 years of experience across B2B, B2C, D2C, EdTech, and retail, she has managed high value commercial portfolios across the US market, working at the intersection of sales, account management, and emerging technology. She brings a combination of the ground level view of how AI is changing human behavior in organizations, alongside the technical and commercial perspective of someone actively building and scaling AI solutions in today. And our last panelist is Mr. Sanjay Piduri, a strategic HRM and OB consultant with 41 years of diversified experience spanning HRM IT, HRM projects, HRM advisory and consulting, learning and development, academic and institutional consulting, marketing and social entrepreneurship. He's an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad and Central University. So over next 1 year, we'll explore how OB is evolving to meet this moment and what that means for the leaders and employees navigating it. So we'll start the discussion. I will start with Sai. Sai, how should consultants approach AI and employee behavior differently depending on company size, industry, and how advanced they are already with AI?
Thank you for the kind introduction, Preeti. Before I start responding, a quick disclaimer that any opinions I express are personal and
Sure.
may not necessarily represent any employer or associate's views.
Sure.
Okay. So, from a consultant's perspective, it would be good to understand three things. Firstly, the organization's maturity in dealing with data and analytics and decision intelligence with data. Secondly, the consequences of an incorrect AI decision, and what that could represent in terms of the company's prospects and the readiness of employees and leaders to work with this technology. Okay, so in a startup, for example, priority may be to introduce few lightweight principles of governing AI without slowing innovation. In a large enterprise, a consultant may need more clearer governance, role definitions, training, and change management. So, for example, imagine a growing retail startup introducing an AI sales assistant. A practical approach may be a short usage policy, employee training, and weekly feedback. In a large bank, introducing AI assisted credit decision, formal validation, auditability, human review, and more robust accountability is needed. So, in a nutshell, the principle is that AI transformation should be proportional to both the organizational maturity and the level of risk that the organization is willing to take.
Okay. Uh, you're saying that it depends on how the industry and how the size of the company is and how advanced they are already are with AI. Yeah, so it depends on that.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Gunjan, I would ask about little bit about the startups and scaling tech companies from you. What should consultants tell startups about using AI without losing the human side of the workplace?
All right. Firstly, thank you so much for the warm introduction, Preeti. I'll answer your question from a real experience and not a hypothetical theory kind of thing. So I work at NodeOps, which is, a really fast-paced environment. Like literally founders who wants to go from ideas to live products in minutes is literally what we offer. So we actually want to automate every single thing, like be it lead generation, onboarding calls, customer support, every single thing we try to automate. And because I've been a sales professional my entire life, I used to think that you can automate everything but not trust. So my that thinking also got revamped after I, saw the development of AI agents into this particular space. Like I'll tell you, even we are building one of the AI marketing agent. We call it Roma. It is yet to be launched. And even I
Okay.
personally use Goldie, which is a US based firm, and it is a completely AI agent which takes care of your entire marketing. Now, I'll explain you in a very simple terms. When you talk to these agents, you feel like you can talk for hours. And it's not
Okay.
because, yeah, and it's not because, they are pretending to be humans, but because they are designed in a way that they understand that how humans wants to be treated. So, talking about the human side in automation, my point is that automation is not bad, but automation without intention is bad. You know, uh, right now, what is happening that startups try to deploy AI, keeping their goal in mind that we want to scale our outreach using AI. That should not be the only outcome, I would say. That should not be the only intention. Rather, you should understand that how the other person wants to be heard. Like it should not be based on just your pipeline, your framework, or your objection. If you keep the human proposition in mind, then definitely it will make a difference. So this is the line basically which I want to tell you, that AI amplifies whatever you already are. If you haven't defined what makes your worth talking to, the AI just sends the confusion at a faster pace.
Okay. Okay. Understand. So, you're trying to say that you need to train your AI in the way you want it to be. So then it
Yeah.
can work. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll talk a little bit about the sectors. Sai, I'll ask the next question from you. How should consultants adjust their approach differently for AI changes in healthcare, manufacturing, and finance?
Sure, that's a great question. See, while the underlying AI technology may be similar, but the industrial context and consequences are very different. So, for example, in healthcare, typically the patient safety, the clinical trial data sensitivity, and confidentiality around that is a central concern. So, as an example, an AI application may flag a patient as potentially a high risk given
Mhm.
an current scenario. But the clinician should really understand the basis of the recommendation and take final responsibility of what AI is recommending, and not just go by the algorithmic output. In manufacturing,
Okay.
typically the focus is on safety, reliability, and acceptance amongst the frontline employees, given production as a focus. Now, if AI is going to predict a machine failure, maintenance engineer should be involved in validating the alerts rather than rushing to follow what comes out very blindly. And in finance, typically explainability is super important. Regulatory compliance and robust audit trails are valued. And given AI predicting potential fraud and such use cases in a finance context, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of um, fairness and audit trailing and explainability is much higher valued. So ideally, consultants should not begin with the tool, rather begin with the work, the people affected, the decision risk and sectoral accountability. Okay. So
Okay.
basically,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
uh, how you apply AI
Mm-hmm.
depends on the nuances within the industry and what
Mm-hmm.
organization cares about.
Okay, okay. So, it differs based on the size of the company or the industry. It's different for finance, different for healthcare, different for manufacturing. So there is definitely, it's all, no one size fits all. So it's different for different companies, and companies should see that, they need to deploy according to their demands, right? That's what.
So, see, ultimately, the foundational models used may be the same, but the
Okay,
which they are set up, the kind of let's say context that is given to these models, and the kind of processes through which these LLMs are invoked or models are generally invoked, and the
okay,
guardrails around the process is what differentiates one industry from another.
okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Sanjay sir, I would like to ask the next question from you. What sector-specific compliances and ethical considerations should consulting firms know when advising on AI in the workplace?
Thank you, Preeti, for introducing me in this forum. My focus on OB is right from my early, say, childhood. I used to focus more on the OB. What type of organization system is there? What type of people are there? What type of friend circle are there? So I have developed the concept of organization behavior plays a very important role. It may be anywhere in the place. Okay, it may be organization, it may be a friend circle, it may be a club circle, it may be any type of circle. Organization behavior is essentially required in each and every aspects of your life. Okay, now I'll let you know, madam, from the very practical aspects of life, I have observed that the organization behavior, what we learn by practice or by implementing it or by facing the issues in the organization behavior are much more valuable other than having bookish knowledge or other than having core academic knowledge or something like that. So what we do is itself a research. What
Right.
we do and what we learn from the outcomes or from the issues that we are facing, that itself we research for it, and that is one of the best research part I feel I have observed in my life. And from there we can get all the good things that what can come out of this organization behavior, and we can implement as a consultant, we can implement the same in that particular field, so the needful transformation can be made. So this is my view. Now I'll let you know, consulting firm advising on AI in the workplace must essentially go after the statutory compliance rules and regulation and the ethical issues which exist, right? Including the data piracy should go on for the basis recruitment policy, employees performance policy. Sector-wise regulation is an essentially required because each and every sector the situation changes, so the regulations, rules, and everything changes. Secondly, I'll let you know, even with the environment, even with the geographical situation or the location factor, the organization behavior system changes. I have seen it in Gulf and I have seen it in India throughout my life. There's a great difference of the organization structure in between the two. So country to country, location to location, the organization behavior system changes. Now I'll let you know some of the reason that we should work on. That is, we should have a global AI framework, and that global framework may differ to some extent location to location. So we need to align those framework in a compact shape so that the framework can work in that place and in our country also. Suppose if it is a multinational company coming and working in our place or in Africa or any other place, so the framework should be drafted in such a manner that it can be effective in all the three continents effectively. Right. There may be human
Right.
deviation. There may be human deviation. That deviation has to be worked out manually. See, human existence also keeps a very value. So where there is a deviation, we can work out and have the needful changes as per the need. Now I'll let you know there are compliance which we need to do. That is, first of all, AI governance system should be very clear. It should be designed in a well adopted manner. Framework should be very clear. It should be accepted globally, and the policies should be very clear and transparent. This is one of the factors. Secondly, I like to know the employment laws. See, every country, every place, the employment laws are different. AI-driven workflow transform can trigger obligation around the world, right? For example, somebody's automation is there, somebody's automation is not there. So we need to consider the employment law of that particular country and that particular shop. See, if you go on for a hot shop company, hot shop organization, the employment law is different. If you work for soft industry, the employment law is different. If you work for any other sector, then if you work for educational institution, the employment law is different. So each and every have their own employment law. So your as an AI consultant or as a OB consultant for inculcation of AI in that particular field or particular domain, you should be very clear as to what is the circumstances that you are working, and that is not necessary that that the hot shop agenda will fit on to the institutional management or the institutional will fit on to the marketing management. So it is different. So we need to study all these things and move one by one. Secondly, data piracy is also one of the main important things. So we have to enable the data piracy system also without any bias, and fairness should be there in especially recruitment and HR AI. Right. So there
But
should
I
not.
want to ask another question from you.
Yeah. One
How
minute.
can, yeah, so how can AI help fix staff shortages and skill gaps in different industries? What do you think?
What is?
How can AI help fix staff shortages and skill gap in different industries?
So what do you mean by AI? Repeat it again.
Yeah. So with the help of AI, can we, if we have staff shortage or if we have skill gap in different industries, can AI help us with that? And
Yes,
how is it
surely,
possible?
surely, surely AI can
How?
definitely.
Yeah,
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 AI can bridge a gap. AI can bridge a gap as per the requirement, as per the productivity, as per the outcome. So what exactly is needed? You need to evaluate it. What type of production you need to have? You need to evaluate it. What is the quality? What is the quantity? And all the things can be evaluated. And based on that we can draft AI module which can effectively work and give the best deliverables out of it.
thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll talk about AI in the context of employees' well-being, diversity, and change management. Sai, I would ask the next question from you. How can consultants make sure AI use supports diversity, equity, inclusion, and psychological safety at work? What do you think?
Yeah, DEI is very important, although in recent times, particularly in the US, it seems to be taking a bit of a backseat. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I think consultants should examine not only whether an AI model is performing with great accuracy, but whether it is producing different outcomes unintentionally for different employee groups. So, for example, let's say an organization is using AI to shortlist candidates, okay, and going back to the um, answer from Sanjay ji earlier, right, on staffing. So let's say that AI is picking profiles of historically successful employees. Okay, and maybe they are from a
right.
particular area, maybe they have been to a particular university, and therefore there is that network through which people keep getting hired. Now, if past leadership positions are disproportionately held by a group, the model may unintentionally reproduce that pattern, and this creates inequity. So consultants
Okay.
test outcomes across the groups and review the variables being used and ensure that people can question or even appeal an AI-supported decision. See, in many organizations, Preeti, you would have seen, right? So there are DEI champions, and then there are people who actually anchor that initiative and to whom you can take an appeal, if you feel that there is not enough
Yeah.
inclusion. So similar things should be done in the case of AI. And
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, from a psychology perspective, this also requires transparency. So employees should be clearly told, no, when AI is being used, what information it considers, and what it does and does not decide. Okay. And this helps with a little bit of trust on the part of the employees. And the objective should be responsible augmentation of what people do, not allowing
Okay.
objective system to make very, very consequential decisions without any
Mm.
context, explanation, or human accountability. So this is important for people to start trusting in AI, given diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all the things that we want for a good workplace.
Yeah. So do you think that if a company is like you mentioned that if it's hiring top management from particular college or something, so AI works accordingly that it starts going to that college only? Does it work like that because it is, trained in that?
Look, I mean, so fundamentally, right? AI, what we are referring to as AI right now is foundational models. Okay, so they
Right,
would
right,
not have company data. They are
right,
trained on a lot of parameters that are publicly available, and literally billions of parameters out there. Now,
right,
this
right, right.
model is given exposure to a company's hiring data set to give
Okay,
context, and that data would contain intrinsic cultural biases and preferences of the organization, right? So for
right,
example,
right.
if I go to IMB only and keep hiring, or if I have done hiring for the
Okay,
last years from IMB and only now I have decided to go elsewhere, and then if I feed that data set to AI and then say that given this context, tell me where I should go and which candidate I should pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if the answer I get is go for IIM and don't look around elsewhere, right? And given your
okay, okay,
organization
good.
is historically doing well with IIM, but that's a
Okay, okay,
specific example. But having said
okay,
that, it's important to start realizing where these biases may creep in
okay.
decision making. And this is not just an AI topic. Even in general, we should be looking
Hmm.
at all these things.
Okay, okay. Understood, understood. I'll
Preeti,
just
I
follow up
feel
with.
Preeti, I feel that predictive workforce planning is also one of the important factors that we can conclude with AI.
Okay, okay. So, sir, I'll ask you the next question, Sanjay sir. So, what role should consultants play in helping companies set ethical rules for using AI to monitor and evaluate employees?
Yeah, consultant plays a critical role guiding the ethical rules of AI. That's true. Now I'll let you know the key roles which the consultant can play is policy development is one of the important factor, and the policy development should be based on statutory compliance or statutory rules. So
Okay,
any rules and regulation which a company or which an organization adopt, that should basically be based on the statutory compliance, statutory rules and regulation of that particular economy or that particular country. You cannot have your own rules and regulation which are beyond the scope of your statutory rules and regulation. So the policy should be in such a way that it covers the statutory provisions as well. The rules and regulations should be viable, means it's possible. It should not be rigorous, or it should physically possible to do that same thing. It should not. You should make it. You should balance it in a very systematic manner that it gives the maximum outcome to your company. Secondly, ethics has to be taken into consideration. Whatever policy you draft on, the ethics compliance has to be done, and every company, every organization have its own ethical system. So it should have their own ethical compliance, and based on that ethical compliance, you should draft that particular module. Bias auditing is a very good thing. Bias. if you are doing something biased, then the performance is going to come in the negative side. So you should not be biased. And each and every a good company always does a free auditing, that these procedure whatever has done without any nepotism or favorism or any special task or any type of malpractices are there or not, they generally see it. So they are very specific, but they are very specific regarding all these issues. Secondly, I like to tell you about that transparency of the protocol system should be there. The protocol should be clear, transparent, and it should be well depicted in their website or in their policy matters. It should not be a confusion. See, I have seen that this large scale organization, they are very transparent. They have made the system very clearly, and they are not going to deviate. So we need to observe all these things very clearly. Human oversight is one of the issue. Human does have his own value. So the final responsibility to the human should be given, because there are many times, no, AI does compliance good, does good for the compliance and all the things. Many things happens good with the AI, but even then, human excellence is there. Human should be responsible for the decision. So I feel that you should not prevent human to be completely dependent on AI, and to some extent, human interference should be there in having the same. So I'll let you know what are the principles the consultant should follow. There should be a fairness, there should be a transparent model, there should be accountability. Proper accountability should come out of these modules that you are going to get through AI. And privacy should be there. Privacy should be there. Every sector, they need have their own privacy policy, so it should comply with the own the respective privacy system also. And well-being of the employees, well-being of the employer, well-beings of the entire organization and the entire system should all definitely be taken into consideration. Now, for this, in many organizations, you might have seen there are many ethics committee, or there are many impact assessment. You need to do impact. Suppose I am implementing the plan, I am not valuing the impact of out of it. So how can it be possible? So I need to do the impact assessment, and so manager has to be trained how to implement the AI programs, how to
I'll stop
use.
you here. I'll come back to sir. I'll come back to you on that. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. So I'll ask in the meantime. I want to ask Sai another questions. Sai, what do you think? What can consultants suggest to help employees feel less anxious or resistant about AI-driven job changes?
Yeah, and it's quite natural that there is a fear of the unknown or new technologies that come up. So, what I've noticed is that resistance is usually not to the technology, it's about the feeling of uncertainty, feeling that control will go away, and feeling that the employee is going to basically automate their own job and then they'll have nothing productive to do within the organization. So, ideally speaking, consultants should encourage the leaders to explain really what is changing, what is not changing, and how employees will be supported through this process. The tone should not be like here comes AI and adopt it. Instead, it
Okay.
should be like, okay, now we are on this cusp of a great technology which can improve the prospects of our company. Let's collectively redesign our work so that
Okay.
you're also part of it and you take as much ownership as we do, right? So this kind of messaging and tone helps relieve some anxiety. So imagine there is an AI assistant being introduced into customer service team, right? You would have got a lot
Yeah.
of us would have got these bot calls, right? Either pitching a loan or a, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
insurance. Sometimes these bots are good and they get the job done as well, right? So instead
Yeah.
of saying that it will improve the productivity by some 30%, 40%, and so on at the outset. So involve these agents in identifying what are the repetitive tasks that can be handled as a first step, and that's really the core. Automation may not really require AI as such.
Mhm.
And once we get past call summaries or retrieving policy information and then suggesting how to handle and make the employees get into a space where they can engage the customers with more complex asks. right?
Okay.
So I try to elevate the value that the employee can add. So
Yeah.
so in a nutshell, it is not just AI is being implemented, but it's rather AI is being designed along with you. So that's the conversation
Hmm.
with the employee. And
Okay.
this also, it's not just words, right? So actions have to align to those words.
Right, right, right.
Should be backed by some really credible reskilling and redeployment pathways that people should actually see that they are value to the company is increasing because of this technology, which is acting as a force multiplier, and
Right,
they're not competing with a technology, right? So this kind of feeling should be brought in very consciously and
right,
repetitive, and the consultant can go a long way in enabling that.
right. Yeah, yeah. Totally agree with that. Right, right, right. So we'll start the next segment, which is metrics, innovation, and future outlook. I'll ask next question from you, Gunjan. How can AI analytics help consultants spot burnout, disengagement, and culture problems before they get worse?
Sure, Preeti. So, I think burnout is something which doesn't announce itself automatically, but
Right,
you
right, right.
can definitely see this in patterns. Like before anyone says anything, you can definitely see this. And how can you see this is, like, for example, we can notice the calendar patterns. If there are back-to-back meetings and there is no breathing room for an employee, or let's
Mhm.
suppose at a particular time of an hour in a particular day, the responses of an employee become really short or crisp, or they become delayed. That means the employee is getting burnt out. Or it can even be seen in the collaboration signals. Like, for example, there are types of employees who are always very active, and you can see their messages in the Slack groups and the company's WhatsApp groups, but suddenly after some point they become really quiet, and they do not respond a lot. So I think all these somewhere down the line actually depicts burnout, and this can be traced via AI really fast, and it would be far more better and far more honest than any survey which an organization ever does. So yes, these things can be detected, but if I talk about the OB point here, what I personally feel, like, it could be wrong, but I feel that, somewhere down the line, organizations track wrong things. Like, I'll take a sales example only because that is something which is very relatable in every organization, because sales is something
Right.
which everyone requires, right? So now just imagine a situation that you are asking employees that we have an AI tool, and we are tracking that how many calls you are making per day to close the deals. Now, this is
Okay.
something which any person can bluff, because if just that is the task, then of course I can make 50 calls and close nothing. And then if I'm pinpointing the person that you didn't make, the relevant number of calls which we expect, of course the person will feel like it is an headache. On the other hand, the same AI tool, we are tracking what got converted. So your conversion rate is dropped. And then if I'm pinpointing the person, then I'm pretty sure that the person will not feel like that we are punishing him. Rather, it will feel like that, we are giving you a
Mhm.
signal that something needs to be changed, because you are giving equal effort, but the result is not there. So in that way, I think even people will be able to embrace AI more. And this prior question which you asked, no, that people have this fear, people are getting anxious. I think all
Yeah.
things would also be they are automatically related. Like, once employees start feeling that AI is a coaching tool and not a surveillance tool, it will
Hmm.
definitely, that anxiety would be removed. So the question should not be always that what are we trying to track with it. The question should
Okay.
always be what are we trying to improve from it. And if
Hmm.
managers or the leadership cannot answer that question clearly, I think then we will only end up creating fear and not a performance, which is our major goal, that it should elevate the performance, right? It should not create fear. So I think, yeah, those things could be kept in mind while we design AI systems. So the core lesson here is that when we get into any AI system, any designing of LMS, it should always be customized. It should not be based on vendors' default settings that someone has sent and we are using it as it is. Because every
Right.
organization works differently, everyone has a different, I would say, definition of healthy work frame and healthy lifestyle. So yes, it should be customized, and that's exactly what I do. So I feel, yeah, this is important that we make customized solutions for organizations.
Okay, thank you. I'm getting one or two questions. We only have two questions left in the discussion, and then we'll open for discussions. So, I have one question for you, Sanjay sir. What should consultants measure to know if AI is working well from a workplace behavior perspective?
What should?
What should consultants measure to know if AI is working well from a workplace behavior perspective?
Yeah, madam, I'll let you know some of the core metrics that consultants should essentially track for that. One is
Okay.
that employees' trust level has to be very clearly evaluated, and trust level has to be seen. Secondly, fairness outcome has to be observed very clearly. Transparency awareness has to be seen very very minutely. That how much transparent, as I discussed with you, transparency is one of the important factor. So transparent, the more it is transparent, the people will accept the same thing. Secondly, human behavior effectiveness. So human decision is best after all. If it is not too acceptable through AI, so human existence, human effectiveness can be employed in that for taking a appropriate decision. That should be the fag end, not the employee. Secondly, I'll let you know what are the indicators. Here, some of the indicators I will give you. That is, employees engagement is one of the indicator. Collaboration quality is one of the indicator. Trust in the leadership. You should have a trust in the leadership. That is a very important organization behavior indicator. Fairness perspective, I have already discussed with you. And the well-being of the employees should also be taken into consideration. Now, you do have a various measurement method as well as consultants role for the needful. Suppose if you are employees engagement, should advise the use how to support the motivation system, how to draft a system which can motivate the employee in a better way. He should not be overloaded also. He should not have a burnout also. All these things we have to see. Secondly, collaboration. Collaboration needs a team workshop. So NCO, the tool, AI tools should effectively work in a way where the effective teamwork can be made in a very successful manner and it can be implemented thoroughly. Trust in the leadership, it helps leader to communicate AI clearly. We should promote AI in the work field and other organization, and people should come out learning for AI tools, AI applications, AI methodology, and the outcomes of the same, which can be implemented in your organization. So the fairness perspective will also come in that. The well-being of the employees will also be there in the. So AI impacts assessment. So assessment should be there. Proper impact of the assessment should be done by the consultant so that the needful AI applications can be done. Feedback should be taken. Ethical AI framework should be made. And second one, we should go on for industry benchmark also, some standard. Also, we should go through some standard where we can take this is the standard level of the industry who are adopting the AI and they are successful. We can copy those as case study and can implement as the best practice method.
Thank you, sir. Gunjan, I'll ask the last question from you. Uh, Looking ahead, what emerging AI trends should OB consultants track to future-proof the organizations they advise? And how should consultants prepare themselves?
Sure, Preeti. So I think talking about the current AI trend, I'll talk in a very generic terms. The common AI trend which we are facing these days is that we are moving from Gen AI, which responds to prompts, to agentic AI, which now executes everything. You don't even just need to prompt, it can execute everything, and everything is happening autonomously, be it blocking your calendars, giving follow-up mails, or hiring candidates, reviewing CV, making CV, anything that sort of everything is happening autonomously. So I think now the question is not that is this fair anymore. The question has more like who is accountable for it if it goes wrong, and cultural
Okay.
question, because every organization somewhere down the line has to answer this whether they are ready for it or not. Because previously what happened, that if we are taking a decision, let's suppose in a company, we always knew that if anything goes wrong, whom do we need to approach, right? Now things are not working that way, because you only think, who would you blame for? Will you blame the tool for it, or will you blame the person who has deployed the tool? So this is a very big question we should consider, and I think here is an OB pattern which we can inculcate, though that's not my field, but I'm just expressing my thoughts that the OB point which can come here is that you know, when any manager or any consultant comes into the picture, you should actually try to understand the AI's logic and the human consequences. Like, of course, I'm not expecting them to become a data scientist, but when sitting in a boardroom, they should be able to answer that AI has made this decision because we gave it this data, and then it is leading to these kind of human consequences. So basically, the bridge between understanding the agentic logic, the agentic algorithm, and then mapping it to the human consequences is something which is a new skill which every OB consultant or every manager should now acquire. That how do you bridge both these things? So I think that is something which will be very helpful.
Thanks, all of you. It was really nice, and I think I'll open it for discussion. I had a question, and I maybe you can ask directly, not a problem. Ajit, you're there? You want to ask the question, or shall I ask it on your behalf? Okay, I'll ask the question. He's asking how hallucinations measured. In other words, how responses are measured based on retrieved documents, semantic similarity, source citations, model certainty, rule validation, or another method. Gunjan Sai.
I think how hallucinations are measured is based on how much data or what kind of work you are asking the agent to, act upon it. It's a very customized question. We cannot describe it generic because, for example, if you talk about AI agents which are literally talking to you like humans these days, they capture data 24/7. You give them access to your Google calendars, you give them access to your LinkedIn profiles, your social media profiles, for that matter of fact, and they would be capturing that data 24/7. You never know that they could be as perfect as you say that just remember the conversation I had with my last client and then help me go through that conversation again so that I can prepare myself for the next meeting. So that is the level of agentic era in which we have entered into, and the agents are there in the market which are not getting hallucinated. On the other hand, it might happen that we are working on some, let's say, local website and it is not even able to capture its own data completely and it is getting hallucinated. So I think it's very much customized. It depends on what kind of outcome you want from that agent. That was
Okay.
from my end, yeah.
Let
Okay.
me
Sai, what do you want to say?
answer this in a little different way. So hallucinations have been there even in the world of analytics. So if you look at classification problem solving, right? For example, if you build some kind of linear logistic regression or random forest type model, we used to have something called confusion matrix. So what it
Yes.
will do is it will help identify these false positives and false negatives and true positive and true negative cases, right? So one can argue that false positive and true negative is a hallucination from the model conceptually, right? There, it is easier for us to handle because the variables are known to us, the variable weights are known to us, and we can figure out why the model is behaving the way it is behaving. Now, what has happened is because of AI, two things, right? One is the model is pretty much a black box if you look at the foundational models. Secondly, the space of the answers is vast, right? So, what would you call a hallucination? Would now let's say I ask a question: Who won the latest match between India and Zimbabwe? If the model says Zimbabwe, then I know it's clearly hallucinating. It's wrong. But if I ask it a more qualitative question, right, and it gives a qualitative response where, let's say, did Vaibhav Suryavamshi play well or did Abhishek Sharma play well, right? So then the model can give answers across a broader spectrum of responses, right? Because ultimately it is connecting words together. And there, measuring hallucination is again contextual and subjective, as Gunjan was saying. It is important to identify what would cause issues in the process versus what would cause the process to have successful outcome, and then measure those cases and see how you can keep improving upon it, right? So I mean, it's much harder to say a model hallucinated. So, for example, there is a customer coming in and You want the model to suggest 2 or 3 talking points to the customer who's walking into a store, right? And we have the customers browsing history, purchase history, and all that. Now, if the model gives us a paragraph to go and tell the customer, and we tell that paragraph, now the customer reacts to it. We don't know in real time what the customer liked and what they didn't. So only when you get the customer's input on really were we accurate or did something we say, did not resonate with you, and get that input and then say, okay, this went in a different direction, and then start figuring out how that answer emerged. So figuring out hallucination is much harder with AI than it was with analytics, especially in agentic situations. So what I would say is that look for more explainability measures with traditional AI like Lime and SHAP. If you have been using some of those methods, it, try working more with SHAP, Shapley distributions, and try to figure out what is causing what, what variables are causing what outputs. If you have some exposure to that, but if you are just working off foundational models, then I would say, try to get a customer feedback after the response, and then use that feedback as a potential input back to the model, and then say that, okay, this is what was the feedback received for such responses, and therefore see if you can do better.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else has any other question?
Just I want to ask Gunjan one thing. Need a clarification on the topic. The trusted AI requires technical robustness, cybersecurity safeguards, and resilience against manipulation and fraud. So, in crafting a module for OB, AI application for OB, how do you, Gunjan, how do you feel that in what are the aspects you are going to take care of it so that these things can be done?
So, Sanjay sir, what happens here, I'll tell you. Like, if I talk about AI monitoring, what happens, let's suppose, firstly, I personally believe that we cannot do the AI framework globally. It could not be same for, all the organizations,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, irrespective of size, sector, and whatever it is, it could not be. And I'll explain my point with an example here, because let's suppose we have made an AI tool which can track the performance of the employees. Everyone requires that, right? Now there is a person who has closed just one deal an entire month, and the tool has declared that the employee is underperforming. On the other hand, if we see that one deal was worth 10 deals ticket sizes that 10 other employees have done. So this is where the human intervention is required to notice that this is something which AI data points is missing, because AI is not able to understand the difference between the ticket size, the value, and the effort that one person has taken in building the relationship with the biggest client, which is giving more profit to the organization as compared to 10 other employees in the same organization. So ethics and complete AI logics is something which we cannot merge all the time, and in every sector it has to be kept separate and human intervention has to be there. It's just that, as I said previously, any framework which we are designing around AI for the success of the enterprise, it has to be with an intention. If you are not automating things without intention, if you cannot answer that clearly, nothing is going to solve, because a poorly configured AI tool actually breaks things at much faster pace than a well-built AI tool, takes time to actually implements things. So intention is very much important to know the outcome, that what are you trying to improve from that thing? What are you trying to achieve from that work? Because nowadays what happens that people create problems and then they find solutions out of it using AI. This is what vibe coding is all about, that you are creating your own problems and then you are saying that, okay, I can build solution as well for it. So I think we should not enter into that era altogether. We should understand that what are we trying to achieve from this automation. If we have a clear answer to it, then we should proceed ahead with it.
Okay. Okay.
Hope I answered
So,
your
so
question.
I feel that you are opting for any trademark or any patent of that particular application that you are incorporating for any company or for the mass people. Are you doing such compliance of copyright or all these things or IPRL?
Yes, sir. So it's not about patent or trademark because again, if we do that, then it gives a second person the complete authority of that. Like if I talk about NodeOps, the company in which we are working, we have built a product called Create OS, which is widely being used, and that is exactly the product which Preeti ji mentioned initially that our company was selected among the top 1% company in entire India by Google. So what we do here is that right now, irrespective of the size of the company, everyone wants to own their infrastructure. Like people do not want any sort of third party dependency. They do not want to rent their data. They do not want to give the access of their data to someone else. Everybody is moving in a direction wherein they want their own infrastructure, and then they can, they should have the complete authority of their own data. So what we do here is that we ask enterprises that what are the problems you are facing currently, do you need automation in that if it saves a considerable amount of your time, and then we build solutions around it, again customized solutions around it, and people are working on that. So after we have built a solution to them, then we do not have any authority or any connection with that sort of tool. We can definitely modify it, we can definitely help people build if they want something extra feature in it, we can do that, but we as builders won't be having the ownership of the tool that we would be giving them, and it would be built entirely on their particular ask, like what they require, how do they want to automate, and what are they trying to achieve. That is the first question which we ask to our clients actually, like what are you trying to achieve from this automation. Only then we are able to help them.
Okay.
Anybody wants to ask anything else? We still have 8 minutes left. Okay, I will ask one question. Maybe both of you can answer. So, see, we are also at a stage in AI adoption, and then both of you, I'm sure, with working with different countries as well. I would say US. I don't know how advanced they are or how advanced we are. So, at what stage are we in AI adoption and compared to other, say, US? Where are we at this moment? Both of you can
Can
give
I
your.
answer
A
this?
question too, please.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay, Sai, you can go first.
That's fine. Because, yeah, look, I think, see, AI adoption wise, I would rather frame it as industry by industry question
Okay.
because the Indian and US workplaces are quite tightly connected nowadays,
Hmm,
right?
that's why.
Lot of work happening across geographies, right?
Yeah,
With outsourced work models and offshored work models and so on. So if you take an organization, any organization, it has a large presence typically across multiple geographies. So I would rather
right.
focus on industry because typically
Okay.
what happens is any AI initiative that let's say comes up in a HQ in US would very
Hmm.
come to India and likewise vice versa, right? For
Right.
example, if Aditya Birla Group is rolling out an AI initiative here, it will go to its subsidiaries in South
Yeah,
Africa
yeah, yeah.
very
That's
fast.
true. That's true.
So let's look at it industry by industry. So what I would say is that see in the analytics era, right? The banking, financial services, and retail FMCG industries really led and set the pace for analytics, and manufacturing followed after a
Okay.
lag. And
Right.
we again see that with AI, there is something similar happening, although manufacturing is catching up with the transition from Industry 4.0 to 5.0. Okay.
Okay.
So such
Hmm.
concepts are coming, and I would still say that possibly in the retail, FMCG, and financial services space, AI is ahead. So if you consider
Okay.
this like algorithmic trading, for example, from a financial
Hmm.
perspective, and
Hmm.
if you're even looking at buying some new mutual funds nowadays, right? You like Quant Mutual Fund, right? If you open
Okay.
uh, um, your broker
Okay.
website,
Okay.
these are
Okay.
AI backed recommendations that help picks.
Okay.
So there are already a lot of there's already a lot of AI commercialization work that has happened in these industries.
Okay.
There was a newspaper article that Bajaj Finance, right, has sold thousands of insurance policies just through AI outbound calls. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a lot of these things happening in the financial services. Now in manufacturing, yes, again, AI is being approached case by case. Uh, but I would see greater play for that within a larger industry 5.0 construct. So,
Okay.
so yeah, the in a nutshell, it's not nearly really geography, but it's industry ways.
Is the industry life. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Gunjan.
Yes, Preeti. So, I would just add few things, a few pointers to what Sai said. So, I'm already working in these four major sectors which he mentioned, like manufacturing, healthcare, finance,
Okay.
and for SMBs, the small, medium-sized businesses. And I travel very frequently between India and America. So I think this experience is something what is giving me the ability and the experience to understand that where the actual difference is. So I think the point here is not that how fast we are adopting AI, but I think the question is that are we adopting it in a correct manner or not? And this is the
Okay.
biggest difference which I feel. Like, for example, I'll just help you understand in a very layman language what happens, like if I talk about a corporate employees, I think we should actually track that are employees actually trusting the tool or not the usage of tools, because usage can be forced anyway, right? An employee can be forced to use an AI tool. So I think you should rather track that are employees trusting the AI tool which you have given to them, and you can easily do that if you track that how easily they are overriding the solutions which is given by the AI tool which you have handed them over. So I think that is one thing that we should track. Then second, we should also track the impact of the decision quality. What happens right now is that we just get into the flow ki there is some AI tool and we have to adopt it. But rather we should track that is it making any difference in the decision quality that we taking? Because quality is something which is harder to measure. The speed is, of course, you can measure it very easily. For example, I got an AI tool and now I'm able to shortlist 50 candidates in half an hour, which could have taken like a week for me previously, but now I can do that in half an hour. But I should
Yeah.
measure that are those candidates correct? Are those candidates trustworthy? Is this giving me a quality which I actually require? And am I not missing any such points which could be crucial to understand? So I think correct adoption of AI is required. You be slow, that is okay. That is not a point. I mean, we are not in a participating in a race wherein we have to far ahead and we have to follow every trend, and this is where most Indian startups and corporates are also lagging. You should focus on the quality and not the speed
Okay.
at which we are adopting AI.
Okay.
In this
Okay. Got it.
in this view, what is your view about AI audit? There is a system of AI audit too.
There is a system of AI audit tool. So,
Okay.
yeah, could you please elaborate about what you exactly need to understand, sir, on that? Like, even we do that. We do have an AI audit tool, and we have introduced that already in the legal AI sector.
Okay.
But what exactly, like, I didn't get what you're trying to ask
Yes,
here.
whatever application you are going to incorporate, its effectiveness, its outcome, and is it is responding properly against manipulation or fraud or something like that. Anything can be detected out of that. What are the frauds get detected day to day? What are the activities we are getting out of that? So all these things can be acquired. No, so these
Yes,
are the situation
definitely.
was something different previously, and the situation is something different, right? So before and after outcomes are also coming. No, so audit
Yes.
is essential as per other audit system. Here also you can go audit, and for the needful evaluation, you can do the evaluation and come to a concept that these are the outcome of the same, and we are very secured with our system.
Yes, definitely. That is possible. That is already live. We are doing that. So, yes, that is possible. You can introduce legal AI and you can do the audits. That's not a problem.
Okay. Now we are coming to the end of our session. 1 minute is left. Okay. It's over. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining the session. Thanks to all our three panelists. Really, thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank
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 you.
you
you.
so much,
Bye-bye.
Thank
Preeti.
you.
Nice
Bye-bye.
job
Thanks,
hosting this
everybody.
and thanks to Gunjan and Sanjay ji as well, and to the audience for patient listening.
Thank
Thank
Yes.
you.
you all. Thanks to all.
Very much.
Thank you very
Very
much.
insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.